Hey, Andre. I'm not sure there's been 48 or 72 hours ever like this in the NBA or even in sports. And it seems like you were very much right in the middle of it all. Can you sort of take us through those 3 day period? And what do you think this for society, for the NBA, and for the movement all in general and together? Thank you.
Well, I think it's similar things have happened throughout history. There's a coalition of African American athletes around the boycott of the Olympics, actually, that happened before. There were a few involved that I've read about. Probably should go dive into that again. But it's been similar things that have occurred throughout history. A lot of people who have sacrificed before us in terms of what we're standing for. And it just, it's a tough situation to be in, but try to embrace it, try to think of the best ways going forward. Obviously, our hearts and thoughts are always within our communities. And, as athletes, we're taught and put in a position to just entertain. And we feel like, I said it before, we don't have a political position. It's a human position and just trying to help any way we see forward, whether it be financially with, our foundations and what we give back to our communities, the food drives we have, backpack drives for school for kids. There's so many things players are doing within the communities, and our livelihoods are at stake every day. It seems like with relationships with certain government officials, and what we're trying to do is just try to bring awareness to that and try to right a lot of the wrongs that have occurred to us.
And then on a basketball note, you have been through everything in the playoffs, from quick turnarounds to lengthy layoffs. Tell us a little bit from your experience, having at least a week off. I know it's never been like in the bubble, but having a week off between series, is it tough to get recharged? Does it help sort of with maybe some older players, help them get the rest they need? How do you look at least a week off now before you next play?
Well, this is just a different environment, so something I'll learn about shortly here. It's really hard to give guys any inkling of what it's going to be like, whether it's 3 days off or a week off. You just got to be ready. The Milwaukee plays today, and there's no guarantees in anything. We're preparing for whatever happens. But main thing is just being ready, getting your mind in that right space to go out there and compete at a high level.
Hey, Andre, as one of the leaders in the union, what did you learn about your fellow players during those 2 days of meetings?
Well, you're interacting with them a lot, throughout the seasons or throughout our meetings, whether it be our summer meeting or our winter, which is the All-Star game meeting. A lot of guys are getting more involved over the years. A lot of the players are getting more business savvy. So, you got a group of guys who are trying to put their best foot forward, whether it be on or off the court, and understanding that we have to have a unified message. And, whether we agree on one topic or not, we still support one another. Whatever the majority decides, we can go out and, do the best that we can to put the players and our league in a position to shine brightest on and off the court.
Andre, good to see you here. Two quick things here. One, there are some reports saying that President Obama spoke with some of the guys about his perspective. Were you part of that? And if so, what were some of his points of advice?
I haven't spoken to President Obama recently within the last couple of days, but he's got a relationship with a lot of folks within our community, and Chris Paul is doing some great things with Michelle Obama's voting initiatives. So he's always supporting us. Like I said before, this isn't a political thing; it's a human thing, and he's always trying to put us in a position where the most change can happen. And he's just been great dealing with him in the past.
And the role that you have, obviously, with the union during those meetings, what sort of perspective were you trying to convey in terms of, knowing league ramifications, but also weighing, is this the best platform to use of trying to help spark change in terms of continuing the season going or ending it?
I think for me, it was just trying to. You always try to figure out what is it you're trying to accomplish. And once you figure out your goal, you try to work a little bit backwards from that goal. And it's very tough considering what's been going on has happened for centuries. And we feel like we've had a disconnect with relationships, our relationship with law enforcement historically in the country with African Americans, with that position starting off as catching runaway slaves. So it's always been tensions there. And, like I said before, it's a historical thing. So you try to go back to the root of the problem, try to figure out how do you best help in making that change to get those tensions to kind of settle and righting the wrongs, most importantly. And I don't think there's a better way to do that than to not only just shed light on it, but get directly connected with those who can make that change. And that starts with our people. And that's with the awareness, and that's with the voting, considering who makes those decisions in terms of, the whether it be a DA or the attorney generals who are the ultimate rulers or the judges of the outcomes in some of these altercations.
Hey, Andre. So obviously we saw some reports about Udonis Haslem and kind of what his role was in helping kind of smooth things over between the players after some of those meetings. I'm curious what it was that he said, or what his role kind of was in your eyes in helping things come along.
Well, I think in any board meetings or any meetings within companies, you always have that voice who's been around the longest, has the most experience, and has seen all the situations. We talk about my playoff experiences, and I've seen it all. He's seen it all in his league. He's really connected to his community as well. He's doing a lot of change within his community, especially in the city of Miami, just all across the board, whether it be voting, whether it be prison reform, whether it be getting a lot of former inmates back into society so they can function, not just physically, but mentally. And just his voice really resonates with a lot of the young guys who have ultimate respect for him. So, he just played that, we call him OG, but it's that role of, that guy with wisdom who, if there is any disagreements, which you have anywhere, him just being a voice of the reason, and kind of anytime we can need to calm to bring to the space, he's there and willing to help us out in any way.
Andre, you mentioned how difficult it is to get a unified message. Being in these meetings, everybody's got a different opinion. If you were to sum up the last couple of days in the very short term, what is it that you think players want the most right now?
Well, I think it's a simple message. We just want to stop being targeted in terms of being out in public as African American men, and being able to get in our car and know we can go home and not have to worry about if we'll make it back home safely or not. Something that hit home with me is a guy, one of my close, he's become a really close friend. He determined the car he bought based on the perception of if someone saw him, would they assume he was a white or black man? So that's just his thought process, and doing all this work, being a professional athlete, bringing in all this wealth for his family and taking care of many people. But he has to think about if he'll make it home safely, and that determines his decision and what type of vehicle he drives. So just things like that people don't realize what goes on in our minds, and so much pressures of being African American in this country, and how it could weigh on you.
Dre, you spoke on it just now a little bit, but what ended up unifying you guys? I know we saw reports that people were unhappy one night, then the next one of you guys got unified. What was it that unified you all?
I think we were always unified. That's just the tough part about being in the public light and public figures, is that small things can be blown out of proportion, or I think most importantly is that we're able to get that many guys in a room and be together as one. I'm sure if you go across any company that's ever existed in this country, you're going to have disagreements. And I think that's something I was most proud of, is that we were able to understand the tensions and understand the emotions that were going on, because ultimately it came from a good place. It came from seeing one of our own gunned down once again. And, it's 1 day, 2 days is not enough time to try to figure this thing out. It's a lot of burdens put on us as athletes to save our communities, where the responsibility also is held with those who make the decisions, whether it be government officials, some of the more wealthy individuals in this country who help with a lot of politicians and donate to these campaigns to get these decisions done as well. I think they have just as much responsibility as we do. So I'm just happy that we were able to weather whatever, storms, whether they were true or false, and be able to come back together as a strong African-American man and get things back rolling, but also still push our message and, trying to provide a safer environment for the communities we come from.
Thank you.
All right, Andre, thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.